All right. We're just giving people a minute to join us, but as you tune in, drop me a win for the day, a win for your Saturday. I know a lot of people are taking the day off today, maybe not doing quite as much, but I'd love to hear how the day's going for you, anything that you're proud of from this week, even if it's not today. And we'll be getting into the podcast in 2 minutes or so. See, Leah's here. Leah, thanks for joining today. And drop me a win. Let me know how your week's been going. Just finished off my workout. Awesome. Nice work. It's always a great way to spend a Saturday. It's always one of my favorite days to work out personally. But today on the show, we're going to be talking about the fear of success. And this is coming from my business coaches and my mentors, Cole and Brian. And so for you guys, if you tune into this, I really appreciate you. And in the call we had this morning, it just gave me a lot to think about. And so I wanted to come on here and I wanted to share that with all of you wonderful people. So we're going to be getting into it in a minute or so. But as you tune in, remember the people I am looking for on these live streams are people involved in the athlete journey, people that are athletes themselves, looking to make the most out of their careers in sport. People that are coaching young athletes looking to make the most of their careers in sport, people that are parents of young athletes looking to make the most of their careers in sport. You get the picture. If someone is involved in the athlete journey, I want to see them here. All right. And we'll be getting into it very, very shortly now. But as I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about the fear of success, and a very, very important question. Depending on where you're tuning into the live stream, you might see it right up on my screen. Very important question. What if? And yeah, why not? Let's get into it. It looks like we've got a couple of people with us right now. Thank you guys for joining live, and for everybody that's rewatching this later, watching it on the replay, listening to it on the podcast, I appreciate you. And so let's get into it in 3, 2, 1. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Dussault. This is the show designed to help athletes gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. And today we are going to be talking about the fear of success. Now, the topic for the show today got brought to me just this morning in a business coaching call with my mentors, Brian and Cole. So you guys, if you're tuning into this, I appreciate you guys a lot. And it was within the call, we were talking about self-limiting beliefs around business and how people tend to, grow very steadily for a few months, and then they run into that roadblock. They run into that spot where they just can't seem to make it further, that spot that they just can't seem to get past. And, I think we've all experienced something like it. And for those that are athletes and not in business necessarily, I feel like you guys have all experienced something similar at some point or another. And when we were talking about this, it was one of the people on the call that brought it up, how, there was a fear there of trying to level up because, what if he didn't make it? What if, things didn't work for him and he was forced to, take a step back, not move into the apartment he was looking to move into, and in turn have to stay living at his parents' place. And, that fear was holding him back from trying to level up because, where he was at right now, he was comfortable. But if he tried to step up, maybe that would end up stepping him back. And I'm fairly certain, if I remember correctly, it was Cole, between the two of the head coaches on the call, who basically said, we all have that question in our mind. What if it doesn't work out for me? What if I don't make it? And, for my audience as athletes, what if you put in all this time and all this effort and it doesn't pay off? You don't make it to the top. You don't become the best in the world like you're trying to. You don't sign those $1 million contracts. Was it all worth it? And that's what tends to stop people from going all in. That's what tends to stop people from really doing everything they can to succeed, is that fear of success, that fear of, what if I do all of this and it doesn't work? What if I do spend all of these hours training? What if I do spend all this time and money on my career and in the end, I don't make that money back. In the end, I don't live out the career that I want to live out. And we were talking about this on the business coaching call about, what if you bet on yourself? What if you invest in yourself? What if you truly go all in your business and it doesn't work and it doesn't happen? And Cole brought up the very important point of, instead of looking at that and saying, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't happen? What if my income drops and I have to move back into my parents' place? Switch it up, go the other direction and say, what if it does? What if I put in all this time, I put in all this effort, and I'm able to double my income, triple my income? Now, what position are you going to be in? Instead of floating at that comfortable range that you are right now, you're going to be raking in money and you're going to be in a better position than you've ever been in your life. And that got me thinking a lot about my audience as well. That got me thinking a lot about the athletes out there that, they have some talent, they have a lot of ability, but they just don't have that all in drive. They just don't have that hunger to really push to be the best. They say they want to get there, but they're off drinking every weekend, or they're showing up really late to training, or they're half-assing effort when they are at training. And it got me really thinking about that I think it's a lot of the same struggle that these people go through. They have this mentality that, yeah, they're going to be high level, they're going to work hard, they're going to push to be great at their sport, but they have that little bit of an out of, what if it didn't work? What if it doesn't happen? And that little out is what kind of keeps dragging them back to those bad habits and keeps dragging them back to those things that are stopping them from going all in. And I think that's really interesting, because I think there are a lot of people that are probably sitting here with that mentality, of, well, what if I do really commit and it doesn't happen? And so for anyone, hopefully you've listened to that and it's hit you that, there's more you can be doing. Sure, you're showing up to training 3, 4, 5 times a week, but are you truly giving it everything you've got? Are you truly trying to get the most out of each and every session? And, outside of training, maybe you're not doing everything you need to be doing. Outside of training, maybe you're showing up to training 4 to 5 times a week, and then you go home and you're eating shitty food. Or you're showing up to training 4 to 5 times a week, and then you're going home and you're staying up till 3, 4, 5 in the morning playing video games or drinking or whatever else it is that you're doing. And I think it is that little crutch that a lot of people have, that, they worried about going all in and not succeeding. They're worried about betting on themselves completely and having it not pay off. So if you're listening to this and that resonated, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, wow, maybe that is me, maybe I'm not quite at that all in level, here's the challenge for you. Change that question in your mind, because I know we all have it. I certainly do too. Change that question in your mind from what if it doesn't work out to what if it does. If you're sitting here right now and you haven't fully committed, you have a goal and you're working towards it, but you're not really all in, in your mind, in your heart, there's more that you can be doing. There's more that you can be pushing for. Change that question in your mind. Stop asking yourself, what if it doesn't work out? And start asking yourself, what if it does? What if you make that switch today? You truly commit. You give it everything that you have. You commit to eating better. You commit to getting the rest you need. You commit to doing the little things outside of the sport that are going to help you perform better in the sport. And at that point, what if it does work out? What if every one of those dreams you've got in your mind, every one of those thoughts you've got in your head about your future in your sport, about your career, all become your reality? What does your life look like in that case? What does your life look like if you commit now, you put your head down now, you grind, you do all the work, everything that you need to do now, and 20, 25 years in the future, you have everything you've ever dreamed of? Is it worth it? And that was a massive switch for me because I know there are a lot of things myself still, whether in business, whether in my personal life, that I haven't fully committed and fully gone all in on. And as far as that fear of what if it doesn't work out, one of the biggest ones for me was the gym. That's something I've wanted since I was a kid. I'd been working in this field for 12 years by the time we opened it. And it was terrifying to me that I was about to invest more money than I've ever invested in anything. And we were in an uncertain time. We were in a pandemic, and there was no guarantee that it's going to work out. There's still no guarantee that it's going to work out. Things are a lot better off now, of course, but there's still that possibility in the back of my mind of, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and everything's going to be gone and we're all going to go out of business. But instead of using that as the fear of, okay, I'd better squirrel away every single penny I've got, being able to use that as the motivation, use that as the fuel to the fire to make sure that I'm leveling up every day, that I'm getting better every day, that I'm doing more so that I can make absolutely certain that we're safe. And I can make absolutely certain that not only can we keep the gym open, but we can expand it, we can grow it, we can develop more services, we can add to what we're doing already and create something truly amazing. And that was a really important shift from that call I was talking about earlier in the podcast today, and something that I'm committing myself to working on in my personal life and in business to make sure that I take that mindset of fear holding me back and make sure that I'm actually using that as fuel to the fire. So if you're sitting here right now and you're an athlete and you have a goal, as an example, of being a UFC champion, but you keep that in your tight to yourself, you don't tell people that that's what you're training for and that's what you want. The challenge today is to put that out into the world because, yeah, there is a possibility, of course, that you spend your whole life working towards these things and they don't pan out. But there's also a possibility that if you spend your whole life working towards these things, they do pan out. And if they do, and you're able to accomplish that goal, then it's all going to be worth it. All the hard training sessions, all the long days, all the sacrifice, not getting to eat the foods that you necessarily want to eat all the time, all the travel, all the work, everything. If you can put it out into the world, you can claim it, and then you can go make it happen. You're going to be living an absolutely outstanding life. But if you're too afraid to claim that goal, if you're too afraid to really put yourself out there and go for it, the one thing you can guarantee is that if you aren't willing to actually put it out there and go for it, it won't happen. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on from the talk today, and then the other thing I wanted to touch on and share with all of you, is the mentality of focus over fear. This was another one of the coaches in this call that I talked about. And he talked about how people let fear hold them back, like I mentioned, and how this is one of the worst things you can do. Because if you have a fear of something, that's a sign that you're trying to grow. This guy in particular was a car salesman, and he talked about how he would have to stand in front of strangers and sell them vehicles that are going to be, $1,000 a month payments. And he had to do it with confidence and conviction, because if he wasn't doing it with confidence and conviction, there's no way anyone was buying a car from him. And it's the same thing with these athletic goals. If you have that fear of an athletic goal, you have that fear of really claiming what it is you're training for, claiming what it is you're going after, then you're letting fear hold you back. You're letting fear keep you in that spot. You're letting fear take over with the fear of, I don't want to talk about how I wanted to make that team because what if I try out and I get cut? I don't want to talk about how badly I want to win this fight because what if I go out and I lose? I don't want to talk about how badly I want to make it to the top in my sport because what if I put all this time in, put all this effort in and don't make it? But if you can use that fear, you can use those nerves that you feel when you think about that goal and think about that dream as fuel to the fire and put it out into the world and claim it, put it out into the world and say, I'm going to be a UFC champion one day, or I'm going to make the UFC one day, whatever that ultimate goal is for you, that's fuel to your fire. And if that's fuel to your fire, you're putting yourself in a better position to succeed because every morning you know what you're after. You know that you've put out into the world what you want to achieve. So even for myself, that's something that I've struggled with immensely through my professional career is putting those goals out into the world. I talked a lot about how I wanted to own a gym, but more and more and more over the last 6 months to a year, that goal, that mindset for me has started to take shape more, and that vision has started to take shape more. And I truly believe in the services that I provide to my athletes. I truly believe that, just the physical, just the sets and reps and exercises at the gym are not enough. And I'm doing more and more and more to try to provide more value on the psychological side, on the mental side, and to really come at athlete development from a holistic standpoint. And I believe that this is the future of our industry. And so for myself, I have goals to impact the careers of millions of athletes around the world. I want this podcast to be the number one podcast in the athlete development space. And I want to be known as the coach that helps build world champions. And even just saying those three things on this show was uncomfortable because it's putting it out into the world and it's claiming it. It's deciding that this is what I'm truly going after. And now, every day when I wake up, I know that my to-do list, I know that the things I set out to do on any given day, I know the purpose of them. I know what it is I'm working for. I know what it is I'm striving to achieve. And that sets each and every one of the days that I wake up for more intentional. That sets them more intentional. That sets me on the path every day to achieve these things. And so if you're listening to this, if you're a young athlete and this is hitting you a little bit hard, you're realizing that maybe you don't talk about your goals. You don't talk about, what you're actually going after in life. I have a challenge for you. Put it out into the world. Ask yourself, what do you want your career to look like? What do you want to be known for? And if you could achieve your dream in sport, what does that look like? And this doesn't need to be everybody saying that they want to be a world champion or everybody saying that, they want to make it to the absolute top. But whatever that dream truly is, maybe for those MMA fighters out there, it's champion on a local circuit, or it's making it to the UFC, or whatever that dream is, figure it out, gain some clarity on it, and then put it into the world. Tell people that that is what you're trying to achieve. And if people shit on that, if people make fun of you for that, fuck those people. Say that one more time. If people make fun of you for that goal, if people shit on you for that goal, fuck those people. Those are not your people. And I think that's something that holds a lot of us back as well is, we worry that we're going to put those big goals out into the world and people are going to laugh at us or tell us that we can't do it. But really, like I just said, those aren't your people. And the more clear you can be on yourself, the more clear you can be on your own goals, your own dreams, your own vision for your life, the more your people are going to start to find you. So my challenge for you, if you're a young athlete out there, is to figure out that vision, is to put that vision down, whether it's on paper, on your phone, whatever it is, just have that vision actually clearly written out and then put it out into the world. Tell one person what you want to achieve in your athletic career. Tell one person what you want to be remembered for, who you want to be within your athletic career. And just by telling that person, I bet you start to feel a little bit more urgency to make the most out of today and to make that happen. So that is it for me. Thank you all who joined on the live stream, and thank you all who are watching this back, whether on YouTube or listening back to this on the podcast. I appreciate you all. It is an absolute joy to bring this show to you now multiple times a week. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. If you got value out of this episode, I would greatly appreciate if you'd share this with a teammate, share this with a coach, a friend, a parent, anyone that is involved in the journey of helping athletes reach the best version of themselves. And as well, if you are listening to this on one of the major podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of those, I would greatly appreciate a rating and a review for the show to just help bump the show up in those algorithms and help me reach that goal of being the #1 podcast in the athlete development space. So I appreciate you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And that is it for me. I'm out. And I look forward to talking to you next time.